Right now, as you watch this video, 4 human beings are farther from Earth than any living person has ever been. 53 years. That's how long it's been since a human being left Earth's orbit and traveled toward the moon. Every person alive today under the age of 50 has never once lived in a world where that was happening. And as of April 1st, 2026, that silence is over. But here's what nobody's talking about. The heat shield on this capsule cracked the last time it was used. Over 100 locations. Jagged, unpredictable chunks of ablative material breaking off during re-entry. And NASA's primary fix wasn't to replace it. They changed the flight path and made targeted adjustments to the material itself. That is what 4 people are betting their lives on right now. I'm going to walk you through exactly what Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen are actually experiencing on Artemis II, from launch day to splashdown. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why this mission is one of the most audacious things any human being has agreed to do in half a century. Let's start before they even left the ground. Days before launch, the crew wasn't home. They were in medical quarantine at Kennedy Space Center, isolated from their families, sleeping on a controlled schedule, eating meals engineered to the calorie. Their bodies were treated like precision instruments, because in a matter of days, those bodies were going to absorb forces most humans will never experience. On launch morning, they suited up. The Orion crew survival system is not the sleek outfit you've seen in science fiction. It's pressurized, bulky, and built for one purpose: to keep them alive if the cabin loses pressure on the way up. Not comfort, survival. They rode the elevator up Launch Complex 39B, the same pad that sent Apollo crews to the moon, and they climbed into Orion. The spacecraft has been named Integrity. Whether that name feels like a promise or a prayer probably depends on which briefing you just sat through. The rocket beneath them is the Space Launch System, 322 feet tall. 8.8 million pounds of thrust at ignition, roughly 15% more force than the Saturn V generated during Apollo. Wiseman in the commander seat, Glover beside him, Koch and Hansen behind. 4 adults, 1 capsule, 330 cubic feet of pressurized space, the interior volume of approximately 2 mid-sized cars. And then the countdown hit 0. The engines ignited, and the solid boosters followed a half-second later. 3 times the force of gravity slammed the crew into their seats. Every breath was a deliberate act. Arms resisted movement. The entire vehicle shook at a low, bone-deep frequency for the first 2 full minutes of flight. Then the boosters burned out and separated. The shaking stopped. 8 minutes after leaving the ground, the main engines cut off. Silence. Everything not bolted down, on their hands, loose equipment, anything, drifted gently upward. They were in orbit. And for the first time, Artemis II's crew looked out the windows and saw the planet below. But the mission didn't move toward the moon yet. For several hours, the crew and mission control went through every system on the spacecraft. Life support, propulsion, navigation, thermal control, one by one. Because once that engine fires for the moon, there's no space station to dock with. No rescue vehicle. No going back to double check. This is also where Wiseman and Glover manually flew Orion. Hands on the controls, eyes on the instruments. Proving that human beings can operate this machine precisely enough to trust it 250,000 miles from home. When the checks cleared, the upper stage fired one final time. The trans-lunar injection burn. Orion crossed past Earth's gravitational hold and began the long arc outward. After that burn, the upper stage separated. 4 people coasting through deep space on momentum alone. If something catastrophic happens from this point forward, the only contingency is a free return trajectory. The moon's gravity curves them back to Earth. That option saved Apollo 13. It is not comforting. It is simply the only plan that exists. Now imagine 4 days of that. Earth shrinking behind them every hour. Communications carrying a delay just over a second each way, enough to feel slightly wrong on every exchange, enough to feel the distance in your chest. Inside the cabin, life has reduced to its raw essentials. The toilet is tucked into a designated corner about the size of a carry-on bag. A curtain is the only privacy in the entire spacecraft. Meals come in pouches, freeze-dried, rehydrated with water, loaded before launch. No recycling system on this mission. Every drop they drink left Earth with them. The menu includes shrimp cocktail macaroni and cheese, tortillas. Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian aboard, packed maple products and salmon from home. Most of it is lukewarm. There is no table, no chair, no oven. You float. You squeeze the pouch. You chase crumbs before they drift into an air filter. Sleep happens in hammock-style bags tethered to the walls. All 4 sleep at the same time. The life support system never stops. Fans cycling oxygen, scrubbers pulling carbon dioxide, systems managing temperature. It hums. It whirs. At no point are you unaware that you are inside a machine and that the machine is keeping you alive. Tell me in the comments, could you handle 10 days of that? No shower, no privacy, no real silence, floating in a metal tube with 3 other people? I genuinely want to know. On roughly day 4, the moon fills the windows. And this is where the mission becomes something harder to describe. Orion will pass approximately 700 miles beyond the lunar far side, farther from Earth than any crewed spacecraft has ever traveled. Artemis II will break the record set by Apollo 13. At maximum distance, Earth fits inside a thumbnail held to the glass. Everyone alive. Everyone you've ever met. A small circle of light in the dark. The far side of the moon passes below. Ancient, heavily cratered, geologically distinct from the side we see at night. No living human has ever observed it this close. And the crew knows, with complete clarity, that if something goes wrong right now, no one is coming. That awareness has another layer. Beyond Earth's magnetic field, galactic cosmic rays and solar energetic particles move through the spacecraft walls and through the bodies of the crew. Orion's shielded zones are limited. If a solar particle event erupts during the far side pass, the protocol is straightforward. Shelter near the storage bays and the toilet area and wait it out. Sit next to the bathroom, hope the sun holds. The return trip takes 4 to 5 days. Earth grows in the window. The crew is documenting everything, how the cabin feels after a week, how their bodies are responding, how the systems are performing under real deep space conditions. Data no simulation can produce. Only humans inside the machine. And then comes re-entry. After the Artemis Y uncrewed test flight in 2022, engineers found something that took nearly 2 years to fully explain. More than 100 locations on the heat shield where the ablative material, called avcoat, designed to burn away gradually and carry heat with it, had instead cracked and broken off in jagged, unpredictable chunks, deep gouges near separation bolts. The investigation traced it back to the skip re-entry profile Artemis Y used, where the capsule dipped into the atmosphere, briefly exited, then came back in. That gap let heat build inside the material without proper ablation. Pressure accumulated, the shield fractured. NASA's response for Artemis II was two-part: targeted modifications to the avcoat material itself and a completely new trajectory. One continuous descent, no skip. The trade-off is higher deceleration forces on the crew. That is the compromise they accepted. At re-entry, Orion is traveling at roughly 40 Zaru kilometers per hour, Mach 32. Air molecules compress into superheated plasma, reaching temperatures around 760 degrees Celsius, approximately half the temperature of the sun's surface. The windows go orange, then white. Radio communications cut out completely. For several minutes, mission control sees nothing. The crew hears nothing from Houston, just heat roaring outside the hull, pressure building against their bodies, and a few inches of modified ablative material standing between 4 people in complete incineration. Then the drag chutes deploy. 3 main parachutes billow open above the Pacific. The capsule swings beneath them and hits the water hard. Recovery divers from a Navy San Antonio-class vessel secure the vehicle. The hatch opens. 4 people breathe unfiltered air for the first time in 10 days. Legs unsteady, balance recalibrating. Standing upright requires deliberate concentration. Reed Wiseman, the oldest human being to ever travel beyond low Earth orbit. Victor Glover, Christina Koch, Jeremy Hansen. They read the inspection reports. They studied the photographs of the cracked heat shield. They asked every hard question that existed. And then they agreed to go anyway. Because exploration has never been the absence of risk. It's the decision that the destination is worth it. The door to the moon has been closed since 1972. These 4 are the ones walking back through it. If you want to see what Artemis III, the actual moon landing, is going to look like, that video is already in the works. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next one.